The scene is set within the Opera House of New Sarum. A wonderful performance of Marriage of Figaro has just entered the final curtain. John Stanhope, with his retainers on staff flanking the door, rises to the seat and applauds loudly at the fantastic performance of the troupe that has just completed this classic of Italian culture. Even the amateur status that most Americans give to opera, John's good mood can't be evaporated, and his woes and troubles seem to have disappeared, being lost in the familiar story that he never quite gets tired of. He smiles and looks to the chair next to him, and it fades a little, lonely at the top. He sits back down and calls over one of his retainers. Could you inquire to ask for the presence of the owner, please, Geoffrey? And the ghoul scurries off.
It won't take him too long to find an usher or some sort of security to ask about it. Security may kind of be suspicious again, but the owner, Ari, has had many guests in her kind of private lounge frequently lately. He sends a quick message to her and gets the okay pretty quickly once she hears who it is, which I'm sure your ghoul will rush quite quickly to let you know. Once he lets you know, they will lead you kind of out of the main hall, of course, as people are kind of standing around discussing the show, to a side door, which looks like a staircase to the kind of the box seats up there. Of course, I don't know if you're visibly limping or anything like that. If you are, they may offer to take you to an elevator. But I'll leave that, you decide. But eventually you will make it to the lounge and see her just kind of standing there, or sitting there in the nice little, almost like living room setting. There's a nice little coffee table and a nice couple of couches to sit around, with a lovely little table setting and maybe some coffee books or coffee table books. And the curtains open. You can kind of hear the noise of the crowd down below discussing. And she'll smile at you while you enter.
Of course he'll take the elevator, because stairs have been his nemesis for some time.
Mm-hmm.
He enters and takes in the sight of this rather homely-feeling room. It doesn't surprise him at all that this is the haven of Miss Quinn. He smiles warmly, if a little sadly. Miss Quinn, it has been far too long. I hope I am not intruding.
Oh, no. I've gotten so many guests here. I didn't think Kindred would be so interested in the opera. Take a seat if you'd like. She'll stand and kind of motion to the seat. Take a seat if you'd like. Unfortunately, I don't really have Kindred beverages to offer you, but if you can, I can offer you kind beverages. Wine, tequila, if you're more of a party guy.
John limps over and takes a seat into the couch, shuffles a bit, trying to get comfortable. No, thank you very much, but I have already dined this evening.
Oh, okay, great. And she'll sit down to, just look at him. So, how can I help you today, Mr. Stanhope? I heard the good news. Congratulations.
Well, give it a few years before for graduations. It is a heavy responsibility picking up all the burdens of this city at this time, but someone has to do it.
Yes. Oh, do be careful. The life expectancy for princes are quite short, and I would hate to see something happen to you as well.
That's very kind, Miss Quinn. But we must do what one can. But, my problems aside, how have you been keeping? I believe you've been in seclusion for quite some time. I haven't seen you in any of the gatherings recently.
Yes, I do apologize. I'm just not really in the mood to be around a lot of people. For obvious reasons, I hope.
Miss Quinn, I understand that there is a time for mourning, but you cannot sit here and wallow in your despair for too long. You'll find that the company of others, whether kind or kindred, alleviates the pain, shares the burden.
I suppose. I don't know. This city has just become such a haven for strangers all of a sudden. It's like it's a completely different place.
It doesn't have to be, Miss Quinn.
I suppose. I don't know. I'll take that in consideration, but it's just really hard. You understand?
I believe, or at least what my contacts tell me, that you declare yourself independent nowadays. Is that correct?
Oh, it's word gotten out. I do. I I just prefer my own way. Keep in mind, I have no problems with the traditions or anything like that. Believe me, the masquerade, I'm all for. But I just don't want. I just don't want to be involved with anybody. You understand?
I do, Miss Quinn, but you'll find that seclusion and isolation is never healthy for one's mind. We have countless time on our hands, and being a hermit within your own city is never healthy for one's mind. I myself had taken a sojourn, if you recall,
Hmm.
spending little time smelling the roses, getting out of politics until Joshua brought me back, for he was needed in the city. Miss Quinn, I owe your sire a great debt. He was a mentor to me in my lowest points and gave me good advice, which is why I feel slightly responsible for you, Miss Quinn, in his absence.
I see. What did he do for you? And she looks genuinely curious about this. If you don't have to tell me if it's too personal, though. I definitely don't want to pry and make you feel uncomfortable here.
It's not too bad. When I first entered the city, there was a debacle. The Venture and the Gangrel were at each other's throats over a particular piece of property. And he gave me advice. He allowed me to understand that perhaps the way one thinks needs to be modified for the current age. He made me think more. His words were inducive to some of my greatest revelations about myself, and gave me sound advice. In the lowest points, I could always rely on Mr. Deep, even though occasionally we were political enemies. He was a rare kindred and a philosopher, something very rare in this day.
It's nice to hear that. You know,
I understand the loss of him is more poignant for yourself.
I'm not so sure. I don't want to seem like a whiner or anything, Mr. Stanhope, but I knew Joshua a bit. But believe it or not, he was pretty absent when I guess, grew up, if you will. He was busy. He was Primogen and Sheriff and all sorts of different titles. And I heard a lot of good things about him. And he said good things all the time. He said he cared about me and, he would take care of me. But I always felt people knew him better than I did. When he died, it was a weird feeling. The bond was still there, of course, and it hurt, but by then, at the time, my heart was already broken into so many pieces that when he died, I almost felt numb to it. But I've always felt other people knew him better. It didn't help I was a little upset with him, too. So, I, I don't know, maybe it's rude for me to say that, but don't feel like you were too obligated to me. Honestly, I think my coterie, which included Freb and Mr. Nobody, Raz, I think they really taught me about being a kindred better. But his death was unfortunate, and I at times wish he was still here. I'm sorry.
It is quite all right, Miss Quinn. The bonds of friendship and sirehood stay with us throughout the ages. It saddens me to say that his responsibilities to the city overshadowed his responsibilities to you. He was like that. He always sacrificed himself for the greater good rather than what was close to him. Don't mistake his intention, though, Miss Quinn. He did care for you. The Ventrue found that out rather quickly when Mr. Williams showed an interest in you in your mortal days. I haven't seen him that angry.
Well, that's good to hear. I do feel sad about what happened to him. It was just so much at once, though, Mr. Stainshope. It was just so much. Anyway.
If you were...
Oh, no, go ahead.
If you were a Ventrue, I would recommend falling into your work. It seems to clear our minds. We certainly have a focus for it. We are taught to cultivate our influence and power. I'm not sure what the tradition is for the Gangrel. If you believe your education is lacking, do not hesitate to ask for assistance, either from myself or others you know.
I suppose I should ask Cole. He would know what Gangrel do. I guess it's another problem. I never felt I was a really good Gangrel either. But
you'd be surprised.
Doesn't matter.
The Gangrel are an eclectic bunch.
Anyway, definitely don't put yourself too far out over me. I know you're a lot more important now, so. And I am very small by comparison. How can I help you?
Well, I first came to confirm my suspicions that you were independent, and would ask you to come and back to the fold, Miss Quinn. For a few reasons. Firstly, independents have no rights within our city. You will be on your own, and with dangers ever present, the court and I will not be able to protect you if you do not join the Camarilla. Secondly, I believe that your depression should be focused or at least forgotten about. I know the best years of my life in New Sarum were with my coterie. Perhaps you can find another. I believe your way of thinking will be a positive influence on the community.
I will consider this strongly. I definitely do not wish to disappoint you, but I'll think about it. I do need time, though. Of course.
Try not and delay. With my new ascension as prince, I cannot bend the rules for anyone. If you do not present yourself and you do not go back towards your parent clan, then I must seem the harsh taskmaster. You catch me in a rare moment of reflection, and that I have responsibilities to those that have come before me.
I understand. And I appreciate it.
John gets up to leave. He seems to stare off for a while, considering whether he should say anything. I don't suppose I can ask you a favour, Miss Quinn.
Oh, I suppose it depends on what it is, but I don't mind helping if I can.
This is not something... I'm not asking you as Prince. I'm asking you as someone who's concerned.
Hmm.
Miss Tavalaris and I are not close anymore. And I worry for her. With my new position and responsibilities, I feel that my duties should come for the city first and not to my own personal life. Would you be kind enough to check up on her? Go for, what do you kids call it now? The girls' night out? Something along those lines?
Yes, that's what it's called, Girls' Night Out. You're right. Of course, if I get the chance, of course. I haven't seen her in a really long time, actually. So I probably should catch up.
Thank you. She's a unique creature, but very close to her passions. And I don't want to see her slipping to the beast. And I worry.
I understand. We should all be careful about slipping to the beast. I'll go see her if I can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He straightens up, and he puts on his Ventrue mask again, cold and stern. A pleasant evening to you, Miss Quinn.
You too, sir.
And he limps out the room.
Ari will sit there for a moment, a little bit kind of puzzled by the visit, but just slightly relieved that she was able to still speak to Stanhope as openly as she did, considering what she had heard before. And as the scene ends, she will turn to her purse and see the phone that was given to her by Sasha blinking. She has a message.